No, don't sneak onto there. You are super naughty. Okay, you can. Hi everyone, welcome back to Lil's Takes the podcast. Episode I'm not even going to bother trying to remember. I have no idea. And for my audio listeners, my listeners who have got the video on, who are on YouTube at the minute, you will notice I've got two chihuahuas with me. I brought the babies into work today, and they're lying on a heated blanket, so they are very happy with me. I am like mother number one today. That's also what the little wire is going down there, because it is so cold in here. We don't have heating, so yeah, we've got two little extra people. Hey, what do you want to say to that piss freak? That disgusting licking noise is not me, it's the dog. Do it again. Yeah, she loves it. She's mad for it. And her name obviously isn't Piss Freak, it's Pixie. And you know when pets' names just sort of evolve? That's what's happened here. So let us not dwell on that, and let's get on with the video and / podcast. So unfortunately today there will not be a On This Day in History segment, because I don't know if this podcast is going to come out this week or next week, so I cannot accurately tell you what happened on this day in history. You're just going to have to look it up yourself. It was stop. She's going to keep sniffing this mic, you know, and so just intermittently between me talking you're just going to hear little sniffies. That's okay, girl. She's just a baby. She's inquisitive. Let her be free. So there is no On This Day in History, which makes me sad. But there might be on next week's. So actually there probably will. Well, you know what? Let's keep chilled, because my podcasts are never the same. But today's podcast is going to be What Would Bridget Jones Do? And I have felt inspired to make this because I watched the new Bridget Jones film. Very easily inspired, as you can see. But I watched the new Bridget Jones film, I sobbed, I laughed, I giggled with all the other mums in there. I'm not a mum, but it was mostly mums in the cinema, and they were mad for it, let me tell you. If you go to the cinema to watch Bridget Jones, take your mum, she'll bloody love it. And the mums loved it, and I was giggling along with them. So, and I thought, you know what, in some aspects, my life has been similar to that of Bridget Jones, so I'd like to, you know, compare the two, and also ask ourselves the very important question, what would Bridget Jones do? WWBJ D. I've the mind of a child. So, we're going to go through some Bridget Jones style dilemmas. I'm going to tell you my personal confessions of my Bridget Jones moments, and we're going to talk about how we can not avoid Bridget Jones moments, but deal with them, and how you can turn them into positives. And maybe, you know what, we're going to compare whether we think Bridget Jones reacted in the right way or what we could have done differently. This is a self-help class. This is self-help, okay? But actually, you're probably just going to help me, because I'm the one that needs a bit of self-help here. So, to ease you all into it, to make you feel comfortable with me, you know, I'm going to share a personal Bridget Jones moment with you, maybe a couple, so you can feel, you know, comfortable sharing. I don't want you to go into this alone. So let us begin. Bridget Jones is obviously known for having, like, really unfortunate relationship dilemmas, and also just in general embarrassing moments, like that incredible Halloween bunny costume she wore to that was, you know, fabulous. And I have had a fair few of these myself, and I talk about a lot of them on my TikTok. There was that time that I went to the toilet, and there was a man fixing my roof, and I had no idea, and there was like an 18-year-old boy that he had working with him. He was up on my roof, right outside my bathroom window, and I had no idea, so I accidentally showed him my bare arse, is what I'm getting at. That wasn't even one I'd written down, that just, you know, off the top of my head. What I've written down here is, I once actually, I texted my boss, and I was not even like just my boss, she was like the regional, like she was a manager quite high up, and I called her a bint, because she had the same name as my auntie. Me and my auntie, you know, it wasn't unknown for me to call my auntie a bint. So I messaged her, I was like, I'm finished now, you bint. That was my boss. I texted my boss a bint. Yeah, and I just had to literally, I blocked her number and pretended it never happened. And luckily she left quite soon after that. But yeah, I called her a bint. That's not even a cool thing to say either. Like, bint is not a great word to have used there. Not my finest hour. This isn't one I've written down, but it's just come to the top of my head. You know what? I've spoken about this on a couple of podcasts. I talked about this on Talk 20s. Actually, I've got a Talk 20s bottle going there that I'm using at the minute. Hashtag, what was I going to say? Not props. Shout out Talk 20s. I was swimming in a pool on holiday and I had the tie bottoms on and my bottoms started to become untied and literally they both sides of my bikini bottoms untied at the same time and started to float off from me, and I was in the deep end so I couldn't touch the ground, so I was like swimming, and that's why they were coming off so quickly, because I was moving my legs so quickly. And then someone came up to me and was like, can you take a picture with my daughter, she recognises you from TikTok? And I was literally half-arsed naked in this pool in Spain. Anyway, I managed to tie them before I just really hope she couldn't see, like, because it was under the water. And that's not even the first time that's happened to me. I dived into the water in Ayia Napa off a boat with all my friends, and the guy was like, go on, jump in, you dive. And I was like, okay. And I dived in and my bottoms came straight, and I was like not far enough under the water, so I feel like I was really close to the surface the whole time, which means you would have definitely seen like full moon from behind me, which is, you know, a shame, but I will never see that man again. And I don't think, you know, hopefully no one else was staring. I just really felt the embarrassment in that moment. A slightly more Bridget Jones-esque thing that I did, I haven't spoken about this in ages. When I was a lot younger, I met up once with an ex-boyfriend and I sprained my ankle. We went on a walk and I instantaneously sprained my ankle. I didn't know it at the time. I knew it was painful, but I was like, that's what happens when you jump off fences, do you know what I mean? And then the next day I literally had to go to A&E because I stepped on my ankle and the pain almost made me throw up. I passed out on the landing of my own house. Yeah, and I had to go to A&E. And I'd sprained all of the ligaments in my ankle, like I popped them over the bone and back over. I've never felt pain like that in my life. Karma was instant. At least I'm not waiting for that karma, do you know what I mean? It happened there and then. So that's why you shouldn't do that. What would Bridget Jones do? Probably exactly the same things that I did. So we're going to turn Bridget Jones into life lessons, the queen of turning disasters into life lessons, and we're asking what would Bridget Jones do, and more importantly, should we be doing that also? Because she has a hilarious life and some funny stories, and I absolutely would not mind my life being like that, maybe with a bit less awkwardness and embarrassment, but I think my life is already pretty Bridget Jones-esque, so I'm going to see how deep I can go into this. So we're going to break down Bridget's iconic chaos first of all. I love these films. If you've never watched Bridget Jones, you should definitely go and watch them because they're like a rom-com, but there isn't a rom-com like it. Like, it's full of, the protagonist is completely imperfect and unfiltered and she's figuring life out the whole time, but she's still so lovable and she still has all this love interest and her life is still full of romance and embarrassing moments, but also really cute moments at the same time. I feel like we haven't got a rom-com that's got a protagonist like it. So if you haven't watched the films, definitely go and watch them because I think you'll like them. If you like me, you'll like them. But she's not your typical heroine is what I'm trying to get at. She's messy, she's awkward, she's real. God, I feel like I'm describing my own life. To give you, look, I'm literally just filtering off embarrassing things that have happened to me. But this is really, this was one of my most awkward encounters. I met a girl in the toilets when I was at like my peak TikTok. I was coming up. So like in Sheffield, I was hitting my stride with TikTok and I was getting approached all the time. Like when I went out to bars, like, hi, oh my God, I watch you on TikTok. And it was great. That was amazing. And I love those interactions with you guys. And it still is so surreal to me when anyone comes up to me and says, I recognise you from TikTok. And a lot of people say, oh my God, I feel like I know you from somewhere, but I don't know where. And I make a point to never jump in and go, oh, it might be from TikTok, because I feel like if it's not that, it'll be really embarrassing. But it had been happening so frequently at that time. This girl came up to me and she went, I literally recognise your face from somewhere, but I don't know where. And I was like, the one time I chose to make this decision and say this just, English people don't use this word, but like douchey. Like I just felt like, a bit of dickhead energy. And I was like, oh, it might be from TikTok, I do TikTok. And she literally looked me square in the face and she was like, no, you look like my friend Melanie. I was like, okay, now I'm really embarrassed. I should never have said that. You look like my friend Melanie. And I was like, oh, yeah, no way, that's fine. She take no notice of me. You have no idea who I am, and that is so fine. Who am I? Who am I to assume that you knew me? Oh, I was so embarrassed. And I have obviously never said that again since, because who does that? But that's one thing that Bridget Jones does so well, public embarrassment. I feel like she just deals with it. She's probably a more of a just walk away type of girl. I'm more of a, I'll fumble in that moment and be like, I feel like a lot of people do this, fumble the words and be like, oh no, oh my God, yeah, no, so sorry. And literally, as a British person as well, you just go so apologetic. I am, incredibly apologetic, even if I'll bump into you. No, you can bump into me and then I'll be like, I'm so sorry, I was literally in your way. That's such a British thing to do. To completely master, you know, what would Bridget Jones do? You do have to master the art of public embarrassment. I feel like I'm getting really good at it now because I'm publicly embarrassed quite a lot. It just somehow follows me around, and that's fine. Also, disastrous love life. That's a Bridget Jones thing. If you've got a disastrous love life, you just got to keep going anyway. Why? Bridget Jones never gave up on romance, so why are you, girl? Keep going. My love life before I met Liam was a car crash. It was, you know, one of those things that you can see unfolding. You know when you drive past a car crash, but you don't want to look, but you can't help but look anyway, because you're like, wow, what is holding all this? That was, like, everyone around me, I feel like, just knew it was going badly, and you just got to sit there and look at it anyway. Like, I knew in myself it was unfolding at an alarming rate, an alarmingly negative rate. But I just kept going with it. I was like, you know what, this is the path I've chosen for myself, so I should just let it unfold this way. Thank God Liam, you know, saved me from that, but it was going downhill fast. So if it wasn't for Liam, I don't know where I'd be. I wouldn't even like to hazard a guess, actually. Also, the weight of expectations. So Bridget's got a constant struggle with self-image and learning to love herself as she is. And so many people, this is why she's so real. So many people struggle with this. I've always struggled with, like, how other people view me. That's massively impacted, like, how I present myself, who I think I am. And it does for so many people. I get a lot of, I used to get, I actually have got an increase in these comments again now. A lot of comments saying that I'm weirdly attractive. Like, people are like, you're weirdly attractive, or I'm attracted to you and, like, I don't know why. Like, what? Or they put, like, why do I find this attractive? Like, they're questioning why they find people attractive. And I think this is a Bridget Jones thing. If you're funny, if you outwardly present yourself as trying to be like a comedic person, people have trouble finding you funny and attractive at the same time, especially men. Men find it hard to find women attractive and funny. In my mind, you cannot exist as both of those things in a man's mind. You can't, unless you're like they your girlfriend or something. I just think a man can't look at a woman and go, she's hilarious and she's pretty. No, you can either be one or the other. That's just my experience. That's just what I've found. But there's so many people that exist in this world that are both of those things. I found it really hard to come to terms with the fact that people couldn't find me conventionally attractive. I was like, oh my God, what is it that's making me unconventionally attractive, and how can I change that? And what do I need to change to not be weird and just be pretty? Like, I don't understand why I cannot be both of those things. Why can I not be seen as both of those things? And that took a lot of my time up when I was thinking about, like, content I could make, and things. I was like, well, I need to do my makeup because people have been saying I'm weirdly attractive, but I need to make sure I'm just, like, normally attractive. When actually now, I'm like, that's such a great thing that people have some sort of attraction to me in any way. What a compliment. And I didn't used to see it as that. I used to see it as like, wow, why can I not be both of these things at the same time? What is it about me that's... Why do people feel weird about finding me attractive? That really didn't sit right with me, but I've just come to accept it as a compliment now, and it's like one of those things that I get often. People comment it now because they know I've reacted to it in the past, I think, but it's one of those things that I've just come to terms with, like, what a compliment saying I'm attractive. And sometimes you don't know why you find people attractive. Sometimes people's personality make them more attractive to you, and maybe that's what's happening. Maybe I should just take it as a massive compliment. So thank you to anyone that complimented me like that on my videos. I also asked you guys what is your biggest Bridget Jones moment? And I haven't looked at the replies yet. It hasn't been up that long, so I don't even know if I'll have that many replies. But we'll check in, and if not, I'm going to check in again at the end of the episode when we're nearing the finale. the big finale, like I've got fireworks or something set out for you. Oh, I've literally got no signal here. And we'll see if we have any more responses. Oh, I have got a couple. Okay. Right, so I messaged you guys, I said, have you guys ever had a Bridget Jones moment? And these are a couple of the replies that I got. Someone put the cleaner waiting for me outside the Tesco toilet after I blocked it. So she's gone in there, blocked the toilet, and the cleaner's just waiting outside to go in. Hilarious. Oh, that is so... I actually don't know what I'd do with that. I don't know what I'd do with that in that moment. Yeah, I'm never going back to that Tesco. I wrote a love letter to a boy on a school trip, and the teacher found it, and she read it aloud to the entire class. Oh, that's one of those core memories that I feel like that will have shaped your childhood. You know, growing up, you'll be like, right, so much more reserved than the woman you could have been. Because that teacher read out your full love letter. This is a core memory I have of being a child. I was in reception, and you know when you just used to all get changed for PE in the same room, and we were getting changed, and I needed the buttons doing up on my little polo top, and I couldn't do them myself because I was 5, and I couldn't do buttons yet, clearly. That's all I remember. And so I put this top on, and I was like, oh God, I need the buttons doing up. So, and everyone that was ready went and sat on the carpet in the middle where the teacher was. So I walked up to the teacher to ask her to do my buttons up for me, and I remember stepping over people and walking around and going to the front, going, hi, can you do my buttons up? And she was laughing at me, and she was giggling, and the whole class was giggling. And she did my buttons up, and I was like, oh God, why are you giggling? And then when I got back to my seat to continue getting ready, I realised I had no bottoms on. I had just had my big pants on, my big 5-year-old pants on that were covered in sparkly pink love hearts. And I just stepped over people, just knickers to the wind. And I think back to that moment often, actually. That was my reception class. I was 5 years old, 4 or 5. And it's literally a core memory for me, and I think I've grown up differently because of that moment. I'm going to keep the rest, and I'll probably read some more out later. This is literally just turning into me telling you embarrassing stories. I don't even mind that, though. I feel like that's such a vibe for me. So we're going to apply the what would Bridget Jones do method into modern life. So I'm going to, when people did that trend on TikTok, they were like, RIP Bridget Jones, you would have loved something. This is that kind of vibe. That's what we're going for. So would Bridget Jones survive in today's world of social media, dating apps, and that girl energy? Absolutely, first of all, because there's just been another movie and she's slaying the game. But one of my things I put RIP Bridget Jones, you would have loved Brat Summer. I feel like Brat Summer is so Bridget Jones coded, a little bit messy. I loved Brat Summer because it just felt like who I am as a person. Just a little bit messy. Clean girl aesthetic out the window. If you watch last week's episode, you'll know that for me, the clean girl aesthetic is completely out the window anyway. Just embracing the messiness of everything, not trying to make everything perfect, and a lot about recovery of embarrassing situations and anxiety. That's what Brat Summer was, just anxiety for me, or 6 weeks of anxiety, which I will look back on fondly. I think I'll look back on and think, you know what an interesting summer I had in 2023, 2024. I won't look back and think what a boring summer where I slicked back my hair and drank cocktails. No, I slammed vodkas and danced on the bar. Different summer, still a great vibe. I put Bridget Jones would be bad at casual Tinder dates, even though she wants to be good at them. In the new movie, she does get Tinder. But you know where people just use Tinder for casual hookups? I feel like Bridget would so want to do that. She'd be like, yeah, this is just a bit of me. Let's not trying to take a break from the romance. And she'd just be really bad at it and get absolutely nowhere. And that's so relatable. If Bridget was on TikTok, what kind of content would she post? Would it be drunken diary entries kind of vibe? I think it would be literally what I post, but mum talk version. So she'd be like a mum talk version of me. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn here because I don't think that it's a good thing. Embarrassing stories, but she'd have them so much more frequently than I do, which in itself is an achievement because I embarrass myself exceedingly often. But Bridget would definitely one-up me there. But it'd also be mum talk content. So you know where people make their child's lunchbox for the week and they're like, this is what I'm putting in Charlie's lunchbox today. That would be Bridget Jones, but it'd just be a string cheese and half a half a packet of half-eaten crackers because she forgot to go shopping. She forgot to buy children's snacks. My mum did that. I used to do that. I used to forget to pack my lunch and then I'd just have like an empty lunchbox. But she'd be the queen of that, like just putting random stuff in her kid's lunchbox. I'd so watch it as well. I don't have any children, but I'd watch Bridget Jones pack her kid's lunchbox. Would she survive the talking stage? Absolutely. Bridget Jones, queen of the talking stage. She'd have slayed the talking stage because I feel like she'd have got 3 weeks in and then done something really weird. And then the boy would have been like, I think that's enough for me, Bridget. Because that's what I used to do. I used to get a bit too comfortable, let a little bit too much of the personality out, and then boys would be like, whoa, that's awful. Not awful. They'd be like, that's just a little bit too much for me. And I feel like that's what would have happened to Bridget. Wrongly so, because she's an icon and anyone would be happy to be with her. But that's what happened to me, so maybe I'm just projecting. And I think that's what would happen to Bridget because that's my own experience. But I do feel like she'd have been queen of the talking stage. It just would never have not often would have gone any further than that. But slay for you, Bridget. This was a funny one because I put into AI, I was like, give me Bridget Jones scenarios and I'll try and like discuss what I think she'd actually do. But then when I put in, let's make up some Bridget Jones scenarios, like give me some dilemmas, it gave me some that were all things that I have done all of these things. So I thought that was targeted actually. But we're going to go through these scenarios and I'm going to tell you what I think, how I think they should be handled. And maybe I'll give you a little anecdote if I have actually handled these in the past, but some of them I really don't want to get into. It's too raw. So some examples of Bridget Jones dilemmas. You show up to a party and your ex is there with someone else. That has happened to everyone, surely. Not always a bad thing. Sometimes a great thing. Sometimes, thank God, you've got a distraction to stay over there. I feel like confidence is the way to deal with everything. Being cool, being confident, being calm and collected, that just instantly makes you appear cooler and makes you appear more settled into the situation. There's nothing that cannot be solved with you being like, oh yeah, like no worries, I'm literally so cool with that. Fake it till you make it, even if you're not feeling cool, calm and collected at all. If you appear to be that way, you'll have faked it so much that at one point you will have just made it. Like if you keep going to the bar and getting drinks and being like, oh, I'm totally fine with this, I'm just going to have a good time with my friends, you will begin to just have a good time with your friends and you'll be fine. That's my advice. Also see it as a positive. You know what, that ended for a reason. You definitely should be over there with somebody else and I should be nowhere near you. That's always the approach I have to exes, but maybe that's the approach some of you need to hear. You accidentally send a risky text. You accidentally send a risky text to the wrong person. I've never done that, apart from, not risky as in risky. I've never done that, but I have sent that text to my boss where I called her a bint, but that's not the same. I have been there on the receiving end of that though, actually. It's happened more than once. A couple of people have accidentally sent me Snapchats that were meant for their boyfriends or significant others or talking stages or whatever. It's weird that it's happened a few times. People just must be really comfortable with sending me risque messages. Yeah, it's happened a couple of times. And I'm always like, hey girl, don't think that was meant for me. That extremely explicit picture of your boobies. But if it was, thank you. I enjoyed it. I actually don't know what I'd do if I sent a risky text to the wrong person. First of all, I'm too nervous to send risky texts. That wouldn't be me. Second of all, you've got to just own it. You've got to just own it in that moment, haven't you? You've got to be like, oh my God, no way, literally sent that was not meant for you, lol. And that's it. Maybe I block them. Maybe I never speak to them again. Maybe I avoid them and become completely obsessed with that in my mind. But again, acting cool is the coolest thing you can do. Being like, ha, literally, lol, that's so funny. I can't believe I sent that to you. How funny is that? Never tell anyone. I feel like there's no way getting out of that completely unscathed, but remaining as cool as possible, I think, is the best way. I feel like if you ignore it, then there's always going to be something there. You've got to address that. Otherwise, it's going to play on your mind. Number 3, you're completely underqualified for a job, but you want to apply anyway. You should always do this. I think you should always just do this. Because then what if you get it and it's amazing and it's the best job you've ever had? What's the worst that can happen? You get the job and you don't like it. You quit it and you go back to square one and you try again. Do you know what I mean? You get paid for a month's work and you've, discovered your limits. There's no bad case scenario here. Only learning experiences. You can learn from the interview. Like, this is all a learning curve. That's fine. I would definitely do that. I've definitely done that. Number 4, you overshare on a first date and now they know your childhood trauma. If someone could write a book about my life, this would feature in almost every chapter, I fear. Not always on first dates, but if I drink, I made a TikTok about this the other day. If I drink, I'm going to tell you things that I just shouldn't have. I'm going to tell you things that, I have never graced past my lips before. Things that I've sworn to secrecy. Things that I've forgotten were secrets. Because I actually cannot stand to have an awkward silence. In a desperate attempt to make you like me, I have expressed my deepest, darkest secrets to you. Also, you don't even have to give me anything back. I'm not even expecting anything back from you. You could sit there and go like, oh, girl. Don't give me sympathy because I'll just feel more awkward. But you could give me nothing back and I'm still going to keep spilling because I can't control myself. That's one reason why I want to, maybe not stop drinking. I think that's going to be really difficult. But, stay sober as much as possible because I cannot control myself. I cry. I'm an emotional person. I cry. I spill everything I shouldn't have said. I don't even want to. I wake up the next morning with a horrendous anxiety all the time. Every time I drink, I wake up and I'm like, who the hell were you last night? And what did you tell that person that for? And I really need to stop doing that. I feel like Bridget Jones would do that. I feel like she'd do it sober. I probably would do it sober given enough coercion. But drunk is definitely more me. We're going to try and spin this into advice in some way. You overshare on a first date and now they know your childhood trauma. If they're cool with it and they were still on the vibe, carry on. Just keep in mind that you did that last time and maybe you shouldn't do that again. But if they're like, oh, girl, then they're not your person. You're a spiller. You're an oversharer. And if they're not down for that, then they're not down for that. Then they're not your person, girl. Move on. Liam was cool with it. I don't know if I spilled anything to Liam. I was extremely overbearing. I think to even be able to put up with me in the first place means he must have liked me a little bit. Because if there was an inkling, if he didn't like me at all, he would have absolutely told me that on the first date because I was giving it my absolute all. I don't even want to get into it. It's embarrassing. Bridget Jones, when she comes into contact with dilemmas, would definitely chug wine and panic. I'm not going to say that's a bad thing to do. I still think I would chug wine and panic. But it's who you chug wine and panic with. Don't chug wine and panic with people that are going to encourage you to do bad things. I would drink wine and panic with my friends because they're going to give me the realest advice. Maybe not if they've been drinking. Maybe I have to make sure they're sober. But I'd say that that's still fine. Because then after you've chugged wine panic, the next day you can take a deep breath and regroup and then go on your recovery mission. Like if you've texted someone something you probably shouldn't have texted them, chug wine. Do not touch your phone though. Don't drink wine if you know you're going to pick up that phone and reply. Don't do that. Brainstorm about it and then the next day, fresh eyes, then you reply. I'm a big fan of doing something the next day when you've had a lot of time to think about it. I think that's such a better way to go about things because you've had the time to, really mellow in that. You'd be surprised at how a little bit of time could change your mind about things. And I'm going to go back to saying what I said before. Being calm in any situation makes you seem cooler. So just staying calm, being cool about it. I have not mastered that. I got really excited I got invited to a White Fox party. There was like 2 really close to each other. And the first one I spilt all my drink on the floor because I just was drunk and not concentrating. And the more drunk I got, the less concentrated I got. But I needed to get more and more drunk to become more and more comfortable. But the more comfortable I got, the more messy it became. Anyway, and so I did that in the first one. Then the second one, I smashed a glass. Within, me and Matthew collided and I smashed this glass. And I had only been in there 5 minutes. And I just drew all this attention to myself that I absolutely did not want. Anyway, I did that better. So I clearly didn't learn the first time and I broke a glass the second time. But you know what? That was my bad. And I've learnt from that. And do you know what I'm not going to do again? I was going to say get drunk at influencer parties, but I absolutely will. Because how can I talk to you otherwise? How can I talk to... No, there's no way. Anyway. That's a lesson I'll learn at a later date. Now, this section, lessons we can actually take from Bridget. Bridget Jones' life lessons that really hold up. You do not have to be perfect. We're going to get real here. You do not have to be perfect to be lovable. No one is... I know everyone says that and everyone's like, oh, that's so cliche, but no one is perfect. And people are still in really happy, loving relationships with people that they know are not perfect people. Your imperfections are actually what make you so lovable because you're so different to everybody else. Life would be so boring if everyone was attracted to the same qualities in people because everyone would be the same. Life is so fun because people are attracted to different qualities in people, and that's what makes some people right for you and some people not right for you. Otherwise, everyone would be right for you, and it would be so hard to decide who you were going to love, because you'd be attracted to everyone and everyone would be attracted to you. That is so boring. Imperfections are what make you lovable. I feel like Liam loves the fact that I get excited and waffle continuously for 20 minutes, and that I'm really incredibly hard to deal with when I'm hungry. And they're my lovable qualities because they make you who you are. And also, life is funnier when you embrace all of that and you embrace the chaos about yourself. I think thriving in chaos is such a good way to spend your life. Like, embracing the completely unplanned parts of your days and the unplanned parts of your life are so much funnier than if you just sat there and panicked about it. And I know sometimes I can't control when I panic about things, but getting over that panic after 10-15 minutes and embracing the fact that you're in this situation, it's completely chaotic, it's not what you expected, but just think, this is going to be a great story, and what do I want to look back on this and say? Do I want to look back on this and say, oh my God, I sat in the corner thinking, God, what am I going to do? No, I got involved. I'm thinking about, crazy parties and drinking and things like that, yeah. I'm not thinking about, really dangerous situations. That's not what we're talking about. I just don't want to look back at my life when I'm like 80 on my deathbed. Maybe I'm not even 80. Maybe I'm 50. I don't know. Who knows? And think, oh, I'm so glad I lived a completely perfect life and everything went my way and I have nothing spontaneous and exciting to talk about. No, I want to be like, I embrace the complete chaos of that situation. I look at this incredibly embarrassing moment that made me learn as a person. That's what I'm going to look back on when I'm 80. I'm not going to look at the things I'm so glad I did right. I'm going to look at the things that went wrong and the beautiful things that came of that. I've never had something go so incredibly wrong and not have a beautiful story at the end of it. That's what you got to think about. I'm very much, though, I've said this before, everything happens for a reason type of person. So if something goes wrong, I feel like that's because the implications of this wrong thing are going to help with something go right later on. And confidence is not about having it all together. It's about going for it anyway. Confidence isn't like, I have to go in this completely, obviously preparation is a great thing, but I don't have to go in this, hey Pixie girl, completely prepared and, I've got my entire life together so I can go forth and be confident. It's about completely going for it anyway and have the confidence to deal with whatever happens from that. Going into a job interview that you're not prepared, prepare for the job interview, but maybe the job you're not qualified for. Go in with complete confidence. Whatever happens, if you get this job, brilliant. I'm confident in it. I'm trying my best. I'm going to learn everything that I need to learn. I'm going to work hard, but I don't have everything that I need to have, and that's fine. I'm so prepared to deal with whatever that is because I've got the confidence to go for it. That's what confidence means to me anyway. I think a lot of people draw confidence from having everything together, and that's fine too. But if that's not where you draw your confidence, then I think that's, so all right. Some practical takeaways. The Bridget Jones approach to self-love, loving yourself as you are, even if you're a work in progress. I think that's important. Knowing that you're not exactly where you want to be yet, but still loving this version of yourself because it's going to help you get to where you are. Like, I love this completely chaotic version of myself that is just learning to do new things in social media, like learning to do podcasts and learning to do YouTube and editing everything myself and becoming someone that's more confident holding the camera in public. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I love this version of myself because I know it's the turning point and it's the version of myself that's going to get me to where I want to be. That's so important, to love yourself in that way, and especially like physically as well. Loving this version of yourself that's confident enough to go to the gym and work for the health and the physicality that you are after. This is don't be like, oh God, I'm not where I want to be and I've been going 2 weeks, I'm not seeing it. You got to love this version because this is the version that's going to get you what you want. This is the work in progress version that's just as important as the version that you're going to get at the end of it. The Bridget Jones approach to dating: don't settle for someone who doesn't adore you exactly as you are. I think I struggle a lot with the thought of changing for a person. I wouldn't want to change fundamentally who I am as a person for somebody else. I feel like widely you have to be accepted for who you are. But I do think changes happen in a relationship, and sometimes I recognise in myself what I need to change or what I would like to change to better, not even just to better my relationship, but to better who I am. which would therefore impact my relationship. I recognise that, and I think that's healthy, to recognise areas of change that would be healthy for you. But I don't think it's healthy to go in and be like, right, if I want to be with this person, I've got to change who I am. I don't think that's healthy. I think change progressing throughout the relationship and you recognising that together, that's important. But not going into something knowing you'll have to change who you are, I don't think that's important. So Bridget Jones in it and recognising you need to be loved for who you are, no matter how chaotic or how odd that may seem. I'm weird as frick. I know I am. But you know what? I've got to be embraced for that, and I recognise that now. And I feel like it's only being loved by someone who absolutely does recognise those weird qualities in me that I have learned that they're okay. So it definitely is okay, and there definitely is a person out there that will embrace everything about you. And the Bridget Jones approach to life. If all else fails, grab some wine, put on your best power ballad and dance around in your pyjamas. That sounds really cliche, but have you ever actually done that? Like put on, music is the key to the soul, I'm going to say this now. Putting on some music and having a little drink, not even having a little drink. I put on music when I'm like, I need to motivate myself to do something. And it makes me feel so much better. Just music that I've been listening to at the moment, making me feel better, like that I listen to in the car, that I really resonate with. Slam on some power ballads. I'm a musical girly. I love to put on some musical songs that really make you feel something in your core. You know, songs that have definitely got cracks sprinkled in them. Play them. Have a little dance around, have a little sing-song while you're cleaning your room or something, and you'll feel so much better. That really helps me feel better. And my final thoughts. So if you feel like you're constantly fumbling through life, congratulations, you are doing it right. Bridget Jones that proves that nobody has life figured out, and that's what makes life interesting. Exactly what I said earlier. Imagine looking back on your life and having a boring existence. That's just not what you want. If you're fumbling through it and it feels like you're just grabbing one day to the next, then that's so fine. Maybe your life won't be like this. Maybe this is just a stage of life where you feel like you're getting from one thing to the next. But look at that. You are getting from one thing to the next. You're making it and you're doing okay. Embarrassing bits are what makes life so funny. Embarrassing bits of my life is what gave me my career. That's literally my job now, is talking about the embarrassing things that happened to me. And that's just who I am. I just attract embarrassing moments, and I am an awkward person, and it is just who I am. And it's got me to where I am today. So why would I not embrace that part of myself when it's helped me get where I am today? Shall I have a look and see if there's any more Bridget Jones moments that have come through? A lot of you just send me really inappropriate things, so we're definitely not going to look if there's any of those. I accidentally called my boss at work mum at a conference call. Oh God, girl. I feel like we've all been there when you've called a teacher mum at some point. I'm not going to read any more because I feel like we're at a really good place to end this. But thank you so much, guys, for sending me in your Bridget Jones moments. I'm going to end with some of my favourite Bridget Jones quotes. It is a truth universally acknowledged that when one part of your life starts going okay, another falls spectacularly to pieces. And I feel like a lot of people feel like that, and that happens to a lot of people. And I say this all the time, but it's so okay. Just because one part of your life is going spectacularly wrong doesn't mean that's going to happen all over. Maybe you're going to have a great love life, but your career might feel like it's stalling a little bit. That's okay. Okay, you won't even notice this, guys, but I've had a little break in programming. I had a pot noodle, a couple of sweeties, and a sit down. I've been sat down this whole time. No, my SD card got filled up. Anyway, I don't know where we got to. All I wanted to say, guys, was thank you so much for sending in any replies that you did to my little story. I got another one from my friend Harry. Said when I threw up in front of you and you ran a marathon. Yeah, that did happen. I'm emetophobic. Harry sent me to therapy. Thank you, Harry, for... Now I've got to relive that. No, that was a bit of a Bridget Jones moment. But thank you so much, guys, for sending in all your little Bridget Jones's moments. And you know what? Send this to your friend who's in their diary writing, wine drinking era. And you will figure it out. Everything will figure itself out. And if you haven't watched Bridget Jones, go and watch Bridget Jones. The new one is so good. It makes you cry and laugh. That's like all I want from a movie. I love crying at movies and also them being hilarious to watch. That's like my perfect movie. It's brilliant. But thank you for listening or watching on whatever media you consume this. You can super get in touch with me and answer my polls and stuff on my Instagram, which is lily_aneva.x. Or you can email me at lilstakespod@gmail.com if you want to get in touch with me that way. Thank you so much, guys, for interacting with this podcast. If you like it, please like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. It really does help me out. And also, what is it? Can you like it on Spotify? I don't even know. You can like podcasts on Spotify. So we will be recommended to you in the future. Thank you so much for listening and watching, guys. And I will see you next week. Goodbye.